Today we're talking about handling hurtful comments. I don't think I've ever talked to a lost mom who doesn't have a story of something. I touched on it a little bit last time, but I'll tell you a little bit more about my story. Almost 26 years ago is coming up on the anniversary. I went to the doctor on a Tuesday. They told me that I had a textbook pregnancy for twins. I remember him saying that because I breathed the biggest sigh of relief because twins are riskier. My father-in-law was a twin and his twin died. And I knew all these stories of twins, so it was very scary. So he told me I had a textbook pregnancy. I breathed a huge sigh of relief. That Sunday night, I took my kids trick-or-treating. They were 5 and 2, and we went trick-or-treating Sunday night. I was tired. I was 32 weeks along. We were in and out of the car all night long. And the next day I woke up, I couldn't feel the babies moving at all. And I was alarmed. I'm pretty sure deep down I knew, but I didn't want to believe. And I called the doctor. It was a Monday, so they were busy and they said they could see me at 2 o'clock. So I waited around all day until 2 o'clock and did all the things, the orange juice, the moving around, the laying down, and no luck. So I'm sure you know the ending to the story. Came home with nothing. I did 3 days of induction. I ended up with a C-section and then came home to plan their funeral. My life was devastated, and I blamed myself for a long, long time, for years. And I set my life up to punish myself. I punished my body for betraying me. I punished my husband because he did not grieve the same way I did. I punished my two little boys for being a shell of a person when they really needed a mother, although I did the best I could. And then I punished my new baby, who was born almost exactly a year to the date that my twins died, because she had a mother who was scared to connect with her in fear that she wasn't going to get to stay. So I lived this way for several years. I owned a salon and spa at the time, and I went to a business conference and met a life coach. We did an exercise about creating a vision board. I had nothing. I couldn't imagine how these people were just excitedly planning for their future as if it was actually going to happen. This life coach caught on and started talking to me. What I realized by the time I was in a slump of crying tears at the end of that conference was that I was holding myself back from my own future. I was denying my family the life they deserved. What really bothered me the most is that I wasn't honoring my babies the way they deserved because I was living this life. That is where my passion for doing this work was born from. Ended up selling my salon. I began doing life coaching and getting all of my certifications and have helped women for years through this. My life now is completely different than I ever imagined because I learned what it takes to take your baby's memory and integrate them into your life and fuel a future that you want to live, not live because of them. So that's why I'm here. That's what has inspired me to create the Always a Loved Club. So today I want you to leave here knowing 3 simple phrases to help others around you understand you a little bit better. And I'm going to teach you some practical ways to communicate what you need to these people in your life and give you some confidence to carry you through any situation. I think that is one of the hard things as a lost mom is sometimes we get lonely and we isolate because we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust ourselves in social situations to not break down, or we feel very vulnerable when people are coming at us with some crazy comments. So my promises to you, I have 2 promises today. I'm going to give you some simple, practical tools that you can use starting today and to guard yourself from anybody's crazy comments. I also am going to tell you about how we can dive deeper into a brand new program that I am launching and where we can work closer together. You can be supported in a much kinder, easier way because these tools will carry you through the rest of your life. So, can you relate to feeling like no one understands you? Who in your life do you think it doesn't understand you?
It's hard because I feel like I haven't really socialized a lot since
I
it
think
happened.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, since my family all lives back home in Hawaii, they've been calling us and just checking up on us, and then my friends here are, like, just giving me space. But
The worst thing I think someone said to me was twofold. I was a hairstylist for years, and so I would see 8 to 9 people a day where I would have to go over the questioning. The worst thing was that I had a guy and he said, "Oh, yeah, my mom said that happened to her, but it was worse because the baby was born." And he said, "At least you didn't get attached to your babies." Like, what do you, I was very attached to them, quite
Yeah,
literally in so many ways. I don't, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Has anyone said anything to you?
a lot of people say it's God's plan. I know it wasn't his plan to take my child away, or hearing that, or at least you got to meet him, which I do believe at least I did get to meet him. But I haven't really heard some.
Anything like that
Yeah,
stabbed you in the heart?
I think maybe the one thing when we were at the funeral home, the guy was like, "Well, couldn't you have like gone to the hospital and get meds that would don't they have meds that help stop contractions?" I don't think he meant it in a harm way, but I think that kind of like hurt me.
Why did they say these things and feel like it's kind or even helpful? What reason did he have to say that at that point to you? It was too late, right? Like there was nothing you could do, even if there was medicine. The first thing I think is because they're uncomfortable with grief. We are raised to shove grief under the rug, right? Like we just want to package it up really neatly, just like your funeral home, and just find a reason and put it away and never think about it again. I think some cultures do. They sit with grief, they really celebrate it. I love the Jewish tradition of Shiva. They sit for 7 days with the deceased person. They celebrate them and grieve and take their time. Most of us are not used to that. So, what's happening is you are getting set free with this new experience that happened to you barely a month ago in a world that a lot of people are uncomfortable with grief. I think that is the main reason. Number two is a lot of times people think it's their job to make you feel better. They're going to fix you, they're going to make you feel better. And if they just tell you it was God's plan, somehow that's going to bring you comfort. But it doesn't. That's not reality. And then the third thing is unless someone has gone through this experience, I don't know that they can ever truly understand it. There's something so different about actually living it versus hearing about it. Like I know someone that happened to, but you just can't imagine what it would be like. I really have no knowledge of what it would be like to lose a child at 3 years old. Even though I have my own experience, it's still different than theirs. When you have no experience with this specific type of pain, you can't know. And they mean well. I do think people overall are trying to be helpful and kind. They just don't know. And
Yeah.
sometimes they make it worse, which leaves you feeling terrible and makes you want to be more isolated. You feel like no one understands you. You feel like an alien in your own life. So these are the three phrases that I have figured in all of my years of living it and helping other women live it that I think are really the most helpful. These are great ones to have in your back pocket for any situation because you just never know. So the first one is this is what I need right now. This one is really good to use with your partner because sometimes they don't know how to help you. And so sometimes it's really more kind to them to be very direct and say,
Mhm.
this is what I need. I need you to sit here and talk to me. I need you to let me sit out this family event and
Mhm.
don't say anything about it. It's a great one to be really direct and start the sentence with, I need you to. And then another way is when you're returning to work, it's a great one to use because you can say, I need you to either not bring up the subject or ask me some questions periodically so that I know you remember this happened to me. Or I might need to go to the bathroom and cry, and I need you to leave me alone.
Mhm.
So these are really good things for just overall letting your friends and family know what you are and aren't willing to do, or what you do and don't want, because
Yeah.
they don't know. Because again, we're talking to people who haven't been through this. They're unfamiliar with grief. They don't like grief. So it really is helpful for you to be very direct and tell them. The second one is just a polite way of saying stop or shut up. I know you mean well, but that's not helpful for me right now. Some examples of that might be for someone who's coming at you with negativity, like the God comment, right? Like it's God's will. I know you mean well, but that's not really a helpful comment. And then like, or if you're getting judgment from others, sometimes someone's going to come at you 6 months down the road and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that still bothers you. I can't believe you're still troubled by that. That was 6 months ago. Aren't you over it?" I know you mean well, but that's really not helpful for me right now. And I do feel like it's a little bit of our job as those of us who have been unwillingly put in this situation to educate others on how to choose their words because this will serve them for lots of areas of their life too, because they're likely to be saying terrible things to other people. The third thing is it would mean a lot to me if you could. And I think if you said this to anyone, or if someone said this to me and asked me to do something, that's what you would want to do, would be meaningful to that person. Some examples of this would be like, it would mean a lot to me if you would allow me to grieve in my own time, or if you could just be with me without trying to fix me.
Mhm.
Saying your baby's name. You have to tell people that because very often they shy away from it because they're afraid if they say your baby's name, if they talk about your baby, that it's going to make you more upset. Like somehow it's going to remind you as if you could forget and it's going to make you more upset. So I think just being, like, no, it's the opposite. It would really mean a lot to me if you could talk about our baby.
Mm.
So with these three, which one of these do you think would have been helpful for you?
Mm, probably the middle one. I know you mean well, but that's not helpful.
I think so too. That one stands out to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's kind of like giving them grace. Like, I know you don't mean it the way it sounds, but also
Yeah.
that is not helpful. Do not say that to someone because you're kind of doing your little educating right then and there. Is there anyone that you will be visiting that you are nervous about seeing? When do you go? You said you go next week.
Yeah, next week. So I'll be at the next workshop,
Oh, good.
and then I fly out on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Not really nervous about seeing anybody. I guess nervous. My grandparents. I know that it affected them a lot, but not nervous. Like I'm scared to see them. Like
Mm.
I know they're gonna say hurtful things.
You don't
They're
think
not. I think it's like seeing other people hurt for me.
yeah. Oh, I
You
know.
know. Yeah.
Yes, that is hard.
But
Yeah. Because I mean, is there a piece of you that worries that you've let everyone down?
yeah, I think it's more so that I got them excited and now it's gone.
Like somehow you were responsible.
Yeah. But I know I'm not.
Of course. But
It's crazy the thoughts that come up,
no,
you
it's not. It's not crazy. If you say these things to other people, they might think that, but I totally get it because we have our own language.
know?
After you go through this, it's like you have your own language with only other people who've been through it. And then remind me, you want to go back to work or what do you tell me again?
I wanna go back to work because I feel like it'll take my mind off of things, but I don't wanna go back to work because, 1, I don't wanna deal with people asking me weird questions or comments, and 2, just being in the healthcare field, like hearing the beepings of the machines
Yeah.
and doing life-saving measures like CPR and people, I feel like those are gonna be triggers for me.
Where do you work? What do you do?
I'm a nurse.
Yeah. That's I think that's the hardest. When you're either in a hospital or like teachers. I think that's hard too.
I just gave the green light to my managers to share what happened because my fear is I go back to work and people question me like where I was or rub my stomach and I have to explain or say congratulations.
You did the perfect thing. Like let your manager know to let everybody know and then when you're ready to go back, think about how you would like people to interact with you. Do you want them to ask, is it okay if they ask you questions? Would you rather they don't mention it at all? Like, whatever you decide is great. But I think letting your manager know, like before, like, okay, so that they can say, okay, she's coming back. Here's what you can say. Here's what you can't say. Just so I think it makes it so much easier. Being in the hospital, you had a hospital birth?
I had a home birth and he made it Well, I was in the hospital for postpartum, but he made it in the NICU for 3 days.
That's hard. Well, is there anything else that you think would be helpful to know? Say you go home and one of your friends announces she's pregnant. How do you expect you'll handle that?
I feel like I would be happy for them, but it's, like, sad for myself.
Yeah, and that's normal. It's okay to feel that. And that's actually a really good, normal way to feel. But it feels weird in your body because it feels like jealousy.
Yeah,
Jealousy isn't a good feeling normally, but in this situation, it is very normal. It's not that you're not happy for that person, but it makes you realize what you're missing.
I feel the same way. I had a couple of friends that we're all pregnant, so I haven't seen them yet.
So that's something you can set some boundaries around. You can really decide how you feel. It's hard one because you want to be involved with them, but it might be really tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I would think that they are going to be sensitive to it too.
I have some lactation cookies, for example, that my coworker gave me when I had to breast pump. Today, I was like, "I don't know what I'm gonna do with it. I guess I will just give it to my friend." And a part of me was sad, but happy for her.
Yeah, and that's a feeling you're going to need to get comfortable with because it's going to come up over and over. It's very hard on both sides. It's so hard
Yes.
for you, but it probably is equally as hard for your friend to be
Yeah,
the one that does have the baby and you don't. It's a tough one. Here's some things that you can keep in mind, and these will be really helpful on your trip and when you come back and go back to work. You are not responsible for other people's comfort. And this is a really hard one because this was a lot of my problem. I had a mother who was from the old school of like, well, things like this just happen and you just have to keep moving and keep going on. And you know what? Like, I pretended I was okay because I wanted everyone else to feel like I was fine. My babies died November 5th. Well, I was sitting at Thanksgiving 2 weeks later trying to pretend like everything was fine because everyone wanted me to feel back to normal. That was all I ever heard. You need to get back to normal. And what I now realized is that was great for them, but it really didn't serve me. It wasn't taking care of me at all. If they were uncomfortable with the fact that I was not sitting at Thanksgiving dinner 2 weeks later, I didn't need to care.
yeah,
So that is my biggest advice to you is just you can't care if people are comfortable or not. If you want to talk about your baby and it makes them feel uncomfortable, too bad. That is not your problem, that is theirs. So be willing to do what feels right for you and for your baby. And then you also get to choose how you think and react to their comments. You can either think that they're being malicious and mean and hateful, and maybe sometimes they are, but you can also think this person has never been through this. They have no clue what this is like. They are uncomfortable with grief, just like we talked about in the beginning. They have never had personal experience with this. So you get to maybe just take a minute and think about where did that come from for them? Were they just trying to fix you? Were they just trying to be helpful, but they don't really know that it's not helpful? So maybe think about it for a second and then choose how you want to react and think about their comments and probably just dismissing them as best. And then you are allowed to set boundaries as needed. If you don't want to go to that family dinner, if you're too uncomfortable, if you're too tired, if you aren't ready to go back to work, it's okay. Set your boundaries and be okay with it. Don't shortchange yourself to make other people happy or comfortable. The main thing is that your grief is yours. It's not even your husband's, even though it's the same baby. Your
mhm,
grief is yours, and other people who have not gone through this don't get to judge you. You can
mhm,
control how much power you give to their words. You get to decide, like, is this person, do they mean to be malicious? Are they trying to fix me? What is the reason behind their words? And then you can just dismiss it. You can just get rid of it.
mhm.
I don't know what brought you specifically here to be with me tonight, but you're at a crossroads. I'm positive you're at a crossroads with your grief. You're barely a month out. And so you're kind of like, do you want to take the road that has a path on how to live this the rest of your life, or do you want to do it yourself? So, no path looks like doing it alone, scrolling the web for answers. Maybe you're in unhelpful groups like on Facebook. I'm in a bunch of those myself. I see what goes on in there, and there's a lot of unhelpful things happening. Maybe it sounds like you are enjoying your therapy or getting results, which is great. Lots of moms that I talk to are frustrated with therapy because therapists, unless they've had firsthand experience, often don't understand. Are you looking for ways to stop the suffering? If there was a path, what would it be like to release the guilt for good? You could gain confidence to handle any situation, find a community of other moms just like you, have expert help from someone who's trained and who's been there, and learn new ways that will serve you the whole rest of your life because this baby loss is not going away. It will touch every single piece of your whole life. My son got married last weekend. There was a time when I stood there and I was like, somebody's missing. It just doesn't feel right because it just isn't the way it was going to be. This is not the day I envisioned because the minute you find out you're pregnant, you have dreams for a lifetime for that baby. So that's why I'm inviting you to the Always Loved Club. This is something that I dreamed up after, and it's been on my heart for a really long time because I've worked one-on-one with moms for a really long time. And what I realized is missing is the community, in that you need other moms just like you to be in with and to be sharing, to be reaching out to, and getting comfort from them. So, in the Always Loved Club, it's a private, understanding community of other moms who are right there with you. You get 24/7 access to any resources we have, guidance. You have access to me when grief feels impossible, and you don't have to feel alone anymore. I have things that I can teach you that will show you that it is possible to heal without forgetting. I use the word healing very sparingly because I think so many times healing makes you think that you have to leave your baby behind or move out of something in order to heal. And that's not the case. I know ways of integrating your baby throughout your whole life. You don't have to be invisible and alone anymore. And your grief is with you. It doesn't have an expiration date, but it doesn't have to consume the rest of your life either. I do a monthly workshop, pick a topic every month. It's daily inspiration, community chat with other moms that's not on social media, which is the best part because I think social media is so hard between the ads and the pregnancy announcements and everything else. I have a Ask Me Anything section that's special, so you can get in there and ask me anything. There's hangouts where we just get together and chat, bring whatever's happening and get answers. Once every 3 months, we invite your partner too. That's what it looks like inside of the app. There's different areas where you can do chats. I get in there every day and post something. I believe they're going to have a voice thing pretty soon, so I'm excited about that. And this right now, this month, I'm for my founding members, I'm doing it for just $20 for the first month. So I want you to be in on the ground floor of helping me make this the place to be. I know that this is what moms need and are looking for, but there is really nothing that I've found that is similar just for lost moms to come together and be in community like this. So I also am releasing my course on my baby's birthday on November 5th. Then I'm going to be releasing a really comprehensive course that's amazing. So, if that's something that you think is interesting to you or that you would love to be a part of, I would love to have you there. Next week, we are talking about who am I? Have a great week.